Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're cracking open some fascinating sources. We're looking at an ancient commentary on a really well-known text, the Dhammapada.
Right. And we're zooming in on two specific stories from that commentary. These aren't just, dusty old tales. They're packed with insights about cause and effect, where conflict comes from, and how our inner state, well, it shapes how we live.
Exactly. So that's our mission today. Unpack these stories. We want to pull out the core wisdom, figure out what they meant back then, and maybe find some surprising lessons for you listening now.
It's about seeing these timeless principles play out in these really dramatic narratives. They're almost like blueprints, aren't they? Showing consequences across lifetimes.
Okay, let's dive into the first one. This one's pretty intense. It's about the cycle of enmity, sometimes called the story of the girl who ate hen's eggs. It starts near Jada Grove, Savatthi. Familiar place.
Yeah, and the beginning is, almost mundane. A fisherman finds turtle eggs, eats some himself, gives just one to his daughter.
But that one egg, wow. The source says she finds it so delicious, it sparks this huge craving, like she wants nothing else.
And when the turtle eggs are gone, the craving doesn't just vanish. No, she escalates. Starts taking eggs from their own hen.
See, that's the turn. Simple craving leads to harming another being. And the hen, obviously gets distressed, right? Constantly having her eggs stolen.
Exactly. And that distress turns into deep resentment. And then a powerful wish. She wishes that when she dies, she'll be reborn, able to eat the girl's children. Suffering turning into this desire for revenge.
That desire, that wish for payback is crucial because the text says, bam, the hen dies and is reborn as a cat. Right there, same house.
And almost in parallel, the girl dies too. Reborn as a hen, also in the very same house.
So total role reversal. Instant karma, almost.
Pretty much. The one who was the hen is now the cat's. The one who was the girl is now the hen. And what does the cat immediately start doing?
Eating the hen's eggs. Over and over.
The former girl is now getting a taste of the suffering she caused. And guess what happens?
Let me guess. Resentment builds up again.
You got it. This new hen develops this intense anger towards the cat, the former hen. And she makes her wish to be reborn, able to eat the cat and her kittens.
So the cycle just digs deeper. It feeds itself.
Totally. The source says the hen dies, reborn as a leopardess.
Huh.
The cat dies, reborn as a doe.
And the pattern continues, driven by these ingrained vengeful wishes.
Yep. The leopardess finds the doe just after she's given birth and eats her and her fawns, the wish fulfilled brutally across lifetimes.
This is rough. And the scale of it. The source says this back and forth is causing suffering and seeking revenge.
Get this, it continued for 500 lifetimes.
Wow, 500. All stemming from that initial, maybe seemingly small act of taking those eggs fueled by craving. It just shows how these negative chains can lock beings together.
For ages, right up until their last rebirths mentioned in the story. One becomes a yakini, a kind of spirit, the other a daughter in a good family in Savatthi.
And they meet again. And the Buddha, seeing their whole history, lays it all out for them, traces it right back to that first incident with the eggs.
And then he gives the core teaching, the way out. He teaches a verse basically saying, look, if you seek your own happiness by making others suffer, you stay trapped, locked in hatred.
The key principle then becomes,
hatred is appeased by non-hatred, not by hatred. That's the escape hatch. You can't put out the fire by throwing more hatred on it. It only works with its opposite. Non-hatred, maybe compassion, understanding.
And amazingly, hearing this, understanding their history and this principle, it works.
It does. The yakini takes refuge, takes precepts. She's freed from that ancient enmity, the other woman. She attains stream entry, a major step in spiritual awakening. So real change happened, and the teaching helped everyone there.
So what's the takeaway for us now? It's this incredibly vivid picture of karma, isn't it? Action and reaction.
Yeah.
Resentment and revenge just keep the wheel spinning, creating more suffering.
Exactly. Freedom comes not from getting even, but from choosing a different response, choosing non-hatred. It's not just a nice idea. The story shows it as the only way to break such a destructive cycle.
Okay, so that's the external cycle of harm. Now, the second story gives us a different angle, more about the internal state, you could say. The story of the monk Cūḻasāribhikkhuvatthu, also set in Jada Grove.
Right, key players. The Buddha, Venerable Sariputta, his top disciple, and Sariputta's own student, this monk Cūḻasāribhikkhuvatthu.
And it starts when Cūḻasāribhikkhuvatthu gets some really nice food. Apparently he got it by doing some medical favors or something like that.
Yeah, some kind of service. And he brings this food to his teacher, Sariputta, but he doesn't just offer it. He makes a point of saying how good it is. And this is key, that he knows how to get more this way. He's sort of proud of his method.
And Sariputta, his reaction is, Silence. He just stays quiet and leaves. Doesn't take the food, doesn't approve of the method, it seems.
A very telling silence. Other monks notice this, tell the Buddha, and that prompts the Buddha to teach about two very different ways of living.
This is the core contrast, right? The Buddha talks about an easy life for the shameless person, the words ahiriko, versus a difficult life for the conscientious person, hiramatta.
Yeah, and the description of the shameless life is incredibly detailed. It says, this person has essentially cut off conscience and moral dread. They live easily by engaging in, 21 kinds of improper ways of getting things.
And then there's that amazing analogy, the brave crow, Kukkuṭaṇḍakhādikāvatthu. Can you unpack that a bit? It's so vivid.
It really is. Think of a crow. It lands nearby, maybe pretends it doesn't see you, acts all casual, maybe even closes one eye like it's snoozing.
Waiting for its chance.
Exactly. The second you let your guard down, swoop. It grabs whatever it can and is off, even if you yell at it. It's bold, opportunistic, and pushes through.
Okay, so how does that apply to the shameless monk?
The source says they act just like that. They might go to the village, but they're busy arranging things for themselves, ignoring duties, making excuses. They push their way into homes, get food even if people aren't keen to give, eat well, take extras. It's that same bold, pushy, self-serving way of operating, getting what you want through cleverness and, well, shamelessness.
And it doesn't stop there, right? The description gets even more specific. They're called destructive, dasina.
Yeah, meaning they undermine others' good qualities. Like, they might subtly put down another monk. Oh, that elder, he's content with so little, making themselves seem more important, or maybe making the other person look bad. It harms everyone.
And pushy paikandya.
That's about making a big show, maybe sweeping a tiny bit of the path dramatically, or getting all dressed up in their robes just so, to make people think, wow, this monk is really keeping the place going. All to get donations or status.
It sounds exhausting, actually.
Well, the text says they live easily this way, but it's an outward ease built on manipulation. They're also arrogant, pagavena. The final verdict. It's a defiled life, a bad life, internally corrupted no matter how it looks outside.
Okay, so that's the one side. What about the contrast, the conscientious life, hiramat?
It's the complete opposite. This person has conscience and moral dread. That inner compass is active.
So they're honest, don't manipulate.
Right. They don't lie about who they are or their connections to get stuff. They seek what they need righteously and properly. No cutting corners like the crow.
The text says their life is harsh.
Physically, yes. Going for alms daily, not hoarding, living simply. It might look difficult from the outside compared to the shameless monk's apparent ease, but internally, they're always seeking purity, susikavasina.
And they stand by it. Not timid, alanina, it says.
Exactly. They stick to their ethics, even if it's not popular, even if it means getting less material stuff. They live a pure life, susudavena.
And that purity is what matters most to them.
That's the core point. They see that inner purity, that ethical way of living, as the real substance, even if the outward life is, tougher, inner quality over outer ease.
Total values flip from the first type. And this teaching, like the first one, had a real impact.
Huge impact. Many listeners attained spiritual fruits, stream entry, and so on. Clearly, this distinction resonated deeply.
So the big picture here, it's this stark choice, isn't it? Chase apparent ease through compromise, manipulation, being like that brave crow, which leads to inner defilement, or choose integrity, righteousness, purity, even if it's harder work outwardly, which leads to inner clarity and genuine progress.
Yeah, it really forces us to look past the surface. What looks easy might be internally damaging. What looks hard might be building something truly valuable inside.
Okay, so bringing these two stories together, you really see them speaking to each other, don't you? Both from the same commentary.
Absolutely. Story 1, the enmity cycle, lays out the external results of harm and hatred. These huge, long, karmic cycles of conflict trapping people. You cause suffering, you get suffering back, unless you break it with non-hatred.
And story 2 focuses much more on the internal state, the immediate quality of your life based on your ethics. Shamelessness, even if it gets you stuff, creates a bad, defiled inner life.
While conscientiousness, seeking purity even when it's hard, creates a pure inner life, which is seen as the foundation for real progress.
So one shows the long-term, almost inescapable consequence of external actions driven by negativity. The other shows the immediate internal consequence of our ethical stance, our way of seeking things.
Both circle back to the power of our choices, our mindset, our actions. They shape everything, our relationships, our future, and the actual quality of our mind right now.
So wrapping up this deep dive, We've walked through these two really powerful ancient stories. We saw that incredible, almost terrifying cycle of enmity stretching over 500 lifetimes, born from a simple act and fueled by revenge.
And the clear teaching that only non-hatred, not more hatred, can ever break such a chain.
And then we saw that sharp contrast with the monk Kusari, the easy but internally corrupt path of the shameless versus the outwardly difficult but internally pure path of the conscientious.
Yeah, showing how chasing gain through dodgy means leads to a defiled life, while prioritizing ethics, even when hard, it leads towards purity and clarity.
These aren't just old stories, are they? They feel incredibly relevant. They're illustrations of deep truths about how our actions ripple outwards and shape us inwards.
They really lay bare the connection between how we live and the kind of life we actually experience both now and, well, potentially beyond.
So maybe the thought to leave you with is this. If these ancient narratives show that seeking what looks like ease or getting ahead by harming others or by compromising our own sense of right and wrong ultimately leads to entanglement, to suffering, to a kind of inner pollution, what does it really mean for you to seek genuine, lasting happiness? What does it mean to build a life of real integrity, especially when that path might feel like the harder one, the one that asks more of us?